सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Let's see, looking for the text. What verse is it now? 20. 20. यदीशितुर्वीक्षणमीक्षितारम् अवीक्ष्य तन्मानसिके क्षणं स्यात् न दृष्टुरन्यः परमोहितस्य वीक्षा स्वमूले प्रविलीय निष्ठा. So, we are in the middle of this discussion of objectifying what we call God. And also the desire to objectify God is very, very high because the orientation is towards the Ishvara, Bhagavan, being other than oneself. And people will say this many times, coming from dualistic theologies. I don't want to be sugar. I just want to taste sugar. This is not a correct analogy at all, because in the example of the sugar, there is an either or connection. You either taste or be. But what if you could be and taste at the same time? That is what is not factored into this. And so we talked about how yesterday, we had a long discussion about what this Bhagavan, really speaking, is not according to Vedanta. Because if Bhagavan, Ishvara, God is separate from you, then we may as well pack up our suitcase, because where is the moksha? Moksha means oneness. And if one of the main things in the universe, namely the creator of the universe, is separate from the I, the observer of the universe, then there is nothing more to talk about. What is there to discuss? Nothing is there to discuss. It's all done because there is no oneness possible. And there is a permanent duality. And then some people say, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with a permanent duality? What is wrong with me feeling that I just want to adore, worship the divine, and I just want to have this, this God be separate from me? Nothing wrong. If that's where one wants to go, the freedom is there in the Shastra. There is freedom to interpret the same Vedas from different standpoints. Dvaita, dualism. Vishishtadvaita, translated as qualified dualism. And there is freedom. We have in the tradition what is called hermeneutic freedom. Hermeneutic means the analysis of the scripture itself. We have hermeneutic freedom to say that, okay, I think that God must be different because obviously I am not God, and I can't do what God does, and so therefore God is different. It's a point of view, mistaken for the view, but that's okay. And then if some other people, a little more, they go to a little more extent, and what do they say? Well, yes, I see that God is separate, but not so really separate, because there is a certain, I feel like I belong to God. I am part of God. Well, you know, if you're ready to come to me, I will say, look at the first two positions. What are the first two positions? God is separate from me, or I am part of God. Look at those two positions. And you ask the followers of these dualistic or these qualified dualistic philosophy, what is it that you want? They will say, I want to become one with God. Even the dualistic philosophy person will say, I want to become one with God. I don't see that happening now, because I have a finite body, a separate, body mind complex. So better luck after death. So I want to be one after death. I want to be one with God. You ask the qualified dualist will also say, I want to be one with God. And what about the Vedantin? The Advaita Vedantin, the non-dualist will say, you are already one with God. It is already a done deal. You just have to understand. You have to understand. So yesterday we were in the middle of a very intense, discussion about how in both in the Kenopanishad and the Bhagavad Gita, we have what is called Avatara Vada. Thanks to that film called Avatar, I don't have to ever translate the word avatar at all, because it has done the job. I'm very grateful for that film with some blue creatures. I haven't seen, but just the holdings I saw. And so then, so these avatars were both from the Upanishad and from the Bhagavad Gita, Smriti. And what to talk of Puranas. In the Puranas, Vishnu, Lakshmi, Durga are manifesting themselves left, right, and center. They are all stories, stories of affirmation of dharma, stories of, of optimism, stories of hope. And you look to the left, there is one deity manifest. You look to the right, here a deity, here a devata, there a devata, everywhere devata in the Puranas. And so how can you say that this is all just in my head? It is, Lord Krishna, coming and walking on the earth is not in my head. There are, there is all these texts that talk about it. And then Lord Rama walking the earth is not in my head. And Goddess Durga manifesting herself and making all the demons cry, "Mummy, mummy." That is also not in my head. It is there. It is all talked about, and it is part of the collective history. It's mythology, historical. The what should I say? Annals of India. So this is what it is. And so how can you say that it is just in my head? Well, what we would say is that if whatever experience you have of God, of however God appears to you or however you worship, Ishta Devata it is called. Krishna, Rama, Sita, Durga, all these. So Ganesha. So, whatever your idea of God is, if you have a deep personal experience, it can belong only to either of these two orders of reality. It could be a purely subjective, purely subjective. In the Mandukya Upanishad, the purely subjective experience is called Antaf Prajnaha. Antaf Prajna. Antaf Prajna means there is an awareness of something happening, but it is all internal. It's an internal experience of God because of the true devotion, because of bhakti, because of shraddha, because of reverence, faith, etc. Or, so in other words, it could be a purely subjective experience. And a purely subjective experience of what we call God, Ishvara, comes in the form of certain physical changes in the body, in the mind. Yesterday we talked about it, feelings of exhilaration, feelings of crying helplessly, feelings of sweating, feelings of some force in the body, kundalini, etc., going up, going down, and going all around, all these things. This is what is called a powerful internal experience. This is, what we call pratibhasika, a subjective experience based on a mental projection of yearning, of wanting to be one. So, a subjective experience of oneness that is very powerful, that is one possibility. Or if it is an avatara like Rama, Krishna, etc., we see in the Bhagavad Gita, it could be an objective experience also, because Lord Krishna, only one person did not see. Only Arjuna did not see Lord Krishna. Everybody around Lord Krishna saw Lord Krishna. All the gopikas, all the milkmaids were scolding him every day. Stop stealing my butter. No more. You are not going to do this. And so he was available for, what is it called? He was available for transaction. And his own mother Yashoda once tied him to a, what is that called? A big thing that holds grain, silo, full of grain. She tied him to that. And then she said, I'm sick of your naughtiness. I'm sick of your antics. And she said, don't try to attract people by playing the flute. And don't, don't steal anything. And don't do something else. She told him 3, 4 things. And the child listened very carefully. And she tied him up because she was just didn't know what else to do. She had milk and curds and everything to deliver. She couldn't be with him all the time, so she tied him to a big huge granary, you know, and she went about her work, and she heard one dragging sound. So the child had dragged the whole granary behind him and said, "What was that third thing you said I should not be doing? I forgot." So this is, so Lord Krishna, etc., we have, it is an objective manifestation. And how is this manifestation possible? It is in, we'll come to that a little more, we will analyze it. But this is what is called, what is that called? Ubhayataf prajna, not antaf prajna, not completely outside awareness, bahish prajna, bahif prajna, antaf prajna, but something that is both inward and outward. And we'll talk about it. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry. It's not supposed to make sense right now. We'll talk about it soon. So here is a manifestation, and that manifestation is just one more manifestation of Bhagavan in the universe. But here it's a concentrated, self declared manifestation rather than the tree that you pass by every day. The tree that you pass by every day is also an avatara. But I don't see people worshipping it. I don't see people, going and saying, oh, what a wonderful manifestation of Bhagavan all the time. We don't see that. So the tree is also a manifestation. In fact, everything in this blessed universe is an endless manifestation of Bhagavan. Yet we are deaf, we are blind, we are unaware of the fact that this whole Jagat is just pulsating with Ishvara's presence. Anything that runs is Ishvara. Anything that cannot run, Ishvara. Chara chara, Ishvara. Chara means moves. Achara doesn't move, Ishvara. And then anything that eats, All the things that eat, Ishvara. Foodie, Ishvara. But Ishvara nonetheless. And then anything that sleeps, Ishvara. So this is what it is. It's all Brahman. It's all Ishvara. We don't need a specific manifestation called God in order to just somehow be shaken up, woken up from our complacency. But that is where the heart yearns. The heart yearns for one more perfect manifestation, seeing which I will be fulfilled. Not, okay, but still, that's the feeling. And being with which, I want to hold Bhagavan. Yashoda had a great desire. She was a great devotee. And so Bhagavan came through her as a baby. She could scold him, she could hold him, she could do whatever she wanted with this baby. And one time he was eating dirt. Open your mouth, I told you not to eat dirt. And she looks inside and a wonderful virtual background of stars, galaxies, and what else? Black holes, everything. Without Hubble telescope, Yashoda was able to see the whole firmament of stars, galaxies, and everything. And then she said, never mind, close your mouth. Can't deal with it right now. And so this is how it is. Because the bhakti, it has to, if the bhakti has to be alive, it has to take a certain form and a relationship. So even with something, which is an icon, which looks like Krishna and, standing there with a flute, etc., and with the three bends, the body in the three bends, very nice. But that is all right. But my relationship to that must be real, must be actualized, so to speak, in order to discover the devotee within. Otherwise, it is of no use. Otherwise, it's just one more thing on the mantelpiece. It becomes an altar because, because of your bhavana. Bhavana means your what you have invested in that. It becomes an altar because you give it the power to alter you. That's why it's called altar. It becomes an altar of surrender because of you validating it as as Bhagavan. It has the power to transform you. You give an icon the power to transform you. You give the Ishta Devata the power to transform you. It is just beautiful. Just very, very beautiful. But then, so this is, so this Bhagavan can transform in two ways. One is through an objective manifestation, a special manifestation reserved for special times. Manifestation. A special manifestation. Why is it a special manifestation? Because you asked for it. You were not happy with whatever was on your altar. You were saying, these are all jaded, faded, as jaded and faded as the jiva that I am. They are not transforming. And how can you look at war? How can you look at conflict? How can you do this? Trahimam, save us, help us. And how can you be like this? This is all prayer, I told you. And so, along with this prayer comes the karma phala, the result of action. And then the result of action for all this is what? Because of the collective karma of all begging people for a special manifestation, that becomes the body of the avatara. That is the body of the avatar. So, because if Krishna were to be born in the ordinary way, what is the ordinary way? It is called immaculate birth. That's why even Jesus, immaculate birth. Yeah, because to show that, immaculate birth without really any kind of karmic origins is called immaculate birth. Because if it is maculate, then it will be just one more guy in the universe. What's the use? One more person in the universe. But this body is a prayer body. It's a body brought upon by the karma of prayer. And not just one person's prayer. A whole lot of people praying together. What are you doing? Where are you? How could you leave us like this? Help us, save us, take us closer to you, and come so that we can have our faith restored again. And then Krishna, Rama, and all other avatars, Durga, goddess, all these avatars manifest. And so their body is a magical body. Everyone's body is a body of karma. But Krishna's body, the avatar's body, is also a body of karma, but a major difference. Everyone's body is a body brought about by their own karmic residues. And goddess, Lord, if they appear in the universe, their bodies are made by our prayers. Everybody's prayer together brings about this avatar. And here is where it is called Ubhayataf Prajna. This avatara body, this special manifestation of Bhagavan that is there to have hold and touch and have and has transactability. This avatara is not, even though it may be in human form and it may behave like human beings. Like Rama was the first tree hugger in history. Why? Because he went and hugged every tree and cried and said, "Have you seen Sita? Have you seen Sita?" So even though he was outwardly crying, because that's the role of a faithful, devout husband whose wife has just been abducted by a demon of Sri Lanka. And so naturally, he will be crying. This is the role. Ubhayataf prajna means even though he is outwardly crying, inwardly he has full awareness of himself, his role, and he has no self-ignorance. No self-ignorance at all. So this is what is called Ubhayataf prajna. So, whether you experience God as a result of your karma phala of prayer, your own prayer, in the form of a spectacular and fabulous vision, which is not invalid, but it is not Bhagavan. That's all I'm saying. The vision is valid because you had it. It's wonderful. It's great. If you had fun with it, go for it. No problem. So if you have a spectacular vision of Bhagavan because of your own devout feelings, faith, yearnings, etc., it is called Antaf Prajna. It's a subjective experience. It's a powerful subjective experience. The prasada of your own devotion. Or if Bhagavan were to come right now and stand before us, then and we are all able to see the same thing that is there, then it is an objective experience. Objective experience also is based, let us not forget, on objectification. Oh, here is Krishna, what a wonderful body, what a great mind, and look at this, and wearing yellow clothes, flute in hand, Kunja Vihari, Pitambara Dhari, Krishna Murari. Like this, we can, sing songs. All very, very nice songs. We can sing bhajans. But then, this is what is being pointed out. It is not to validate either the personal vision or the collective experience of something, but instead it is to ratify the one thing and one thing alone that has been the focus of this entire text all the time from the beginning, is that what you see is not Bhagavan. What you see is not you. What you objectify is not you. So if there is a Bhagavan, It has to be including you. There is no Bhagavan other than you. And the Mandukya Karika, the Mandukya Upanishad, not the Karika, the Upanishad itself has a very nice piece that the mantra itself I will read to you because it describes Bhagavan very, very nicely here. And what does it say? It says something, if I can find it. I had it just now here. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. नान्तः प्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं न उभयतः प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं न अप्रज्ञं. And then after you understand this, the first part of this mantra, your head is, all turned around and you're feeling absolutely confused. And that's exactly where the Shruti wants you to be. You have to just say, what? What was said? What was this? Na antaf pragyam. So what is this na antaf pragyam? It's not that which is the consciousness, awareness in relation to articles outside. Inside. Antaf pragyam. Things inside. My emotions, my fears, my state of mind, whatever. So it's not an internalized consciousness. Na bahish pragyam. And it is not an externalized consciousness either. And then what? Na ubhayatav pragyam. Maybe it's a little bit of this and little bit of that. This is the quintessential peacekeeper, wants everybody to get along. And so, okay, maybe it's a little bit outward focused, little bit inward focused. That is the avatar I told you. Has absolutely no self-ignorance and is both outwardly focused and inwardly focused at the same time. This is what constitutes Krishna, Rama, Durga, whatever everybody can at once see. And I would include in this discussion of outward and inward, I would include the coronavirus also. I do think it's a Karuna Avatara. Really. I do think it is in the form of an avatar. But anyway, let's not get distracted. Let us go further. Then, na ubhayataf pragyam and na prajnana ghanam. Prajnana ghanam means maybe it's a big mass of awareness. No, because mass of awareness is again, the orientation is to objectify it. No. Oh, it's not a mass of awareness? Not. Okay. So maybe it is jada. It is like a rock. Aprajnam. Aprajnam means what? It is jada. It is inert. No, it is not inert. Okay, maybe it is sentient. Maybe it is the all-knowing consciousness that is Bhagavan. Prajnam. Yes, have I got it now? Yes, yes, yes. No. Na prajnam. No prajnam. It's not all knowledge. No. Because all knowledge, again, subtly, is giving birth to a knower. Yatra apeksha is there. Yatra apeksha means there is an apeksha. There is an expectation for a knower there. All knowledge means it is resting somewhere in the conscious being. And that conscious being is not what we are talking about. We are talking about that consciousness which has morphed into this conscious being, as it were, and which also simultaneously appears as the jiva. That consciousness we are talking about. So it is not a consciousness that is all knowledge or whatever you want to call it, and it is not inert, it is not unconscious. Then what is it? Then adrishtam, can't see it, avyavaharyam, it is useless for any kind of transaction. It cannot even say namaste or shake hands and say hello. It cannot even do that. And then what? Agrahyam. You can't run behind it and catch it. Agrahyam. Alakshanam. Alakshanam means that it is not that it's not Lakshanam here is inference. So Anumana and Arthapatti, it's not known by inference. Alakshanam. And then Achintyam. Achintyam is it's not enveloped by the object of a thought. It is not an object of a thought. Achintyam. This is next one is very important. Avyapadeshyam. Vyapadesha means a kind of a communication. That something can be communicated. Here it is avyapadeshyam, incommunicable, not communicable as an object, of course. Otherwise, people will say incommunicable, then why are you keeping on talking? Stop talking. If it's incommunicable, well, why are you continuing to talk? And so, avyapadeshyam as an object beyond description. Why? Because it doesn't have parts. How to describe something? It doesn't have color. It doesn't, it doesn't have a smell, a distinct smell like a flower, fragrance, etc. It doesn't have. It doesn't have anything, whatever it is. Ekatma pratyaya saram. Then how is it known? It is avyavaharyam. It doesn't have transactability, cannot be caught, cannot be inferred, is not an object of thoughts, cannot be enveloped by thoughts. What else? It's not all knowing, it is not unknowing, it is not a mass of awareness, it is not present. And then how do you and then it is beyond description. So how do we talk about it? This is what clinches it. These two words, clinch it. These 2-3 words that are going to come. First you negate everything, na iti, na iti, na iti, and then later on you say what it is. So these 2-3 words that are going to come, ekatma pratyaya saram, the essence of that of that pratyaya means cognition, of that single unbroken cognition, unbroken self-awareness. That is how it is known. Ekatma pratyaya saram. It is known through the unbroken I. I am, I exist. Just that I. Not I am an idiot. That is going too far. Just you stop at I am. And then what? Knowing which prapancha upashamam. Prapancha means this whole universe. Upashamam means it ceases to be. Ceases to be means what? The universe will disappear as soon as I know this Atma. Pretty much the universe will disappear as an object other than you. The universe will remain as Ishvara Srishti, which is an extension of you. Since it's an extension of you, you don't really pay it much attention. Just like you have hands, you have legs. You're not always looking to see what the little finger is doing, what is this doing, what is the thumb doing. And you don't see what is the little toe doing. You just take it for granted. Much less you wonder what is the spinal cord doing and what is the pancreas doing right now. You don't worry about that. It's there. It's from the physical aspect, it is all you. So you're not really concerned about it. It is there, but it is not, you don't have the pressure to keep on objectifying it and see it as a source of longing or as a source of threat. Which for the Ajnani, that is what happens. The universe is either a source of longing, yearning, or a source of threat. And this is condensed very beautifully in the two examples that we talk about. The first one is a source of threat, nivrityatmakam udaharanam. So the nivrityatmakam means from which one runs away. What is that example? Hmm? You know it. Rope snake. Rope snake. Yeah, that is the example of a threat. Rope snake. And then what else is there? This for pravritti, to show the longing. This is the threat. And to show the longing, we have another example. Silver dollar. on the beach. You run and you think you have seen a silver dollar, but it turns out to be boring, mother common, and not very expensive mother of pearl. That, this is how one leads one's life. So when Dvaita, when there is Dvaita, there is either a threat or a longing. This is our relationship to the whole universe is based on threats and longing. Longing, threat, longing. Sometimes a threatening longing. So all possible permutations, combinations are there. And so therefore, it has to be one has to be careful here. And to know this, what does it, so therefore the prapancha, the universe ceases to be, not in the same way as the snake ceases to be once it is understood to not exist. When you call out the rope and you look at the rope for what it is, the snake is no longer there. The snake slithers away back into your own imagination from where it was projected. But the Jagat cannot do that because the Jagat is Ishvara Srishti, so to speak. So the Jagat, the manifest universe, will be there even after a person gains knowledge. But it will no longer be a source of pain, a source of threat, or a source of longing. The relationship is extremely free. And then Adi Shankara uses a very nice term in one of the bhashya. Jagataha vismriti prayaha. Prayaha means more or less. The Jagat is forgotten. That there is a Jagat is forgotten. Just like that you have a back is forgotten unless it hurts. If you have back pain, then you say, oh, I can't sit, I can't stand. Oh, I need a hot compress. I need a balm. But if there is no back pain, who thinks of the back? Who thinks of how many vertebrae are there and, cervical vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae? Who thinks of all that? Nobody thinks. And so, like that, the Jagat becomes. And so, this is, and then Prapancha Upashamam, it is free of the world. The Atma is free of the world. And the knower of the Atma, being the Atma, is also free of the world. And then Shantam, and in fact, really sometimes if you ask people, what do you want most? Sometimes the answer is happiness, but sometimes the answer is, I want peace. I want Shanti. I want tranquility. I don't want all this chaos, this cacophony, and just all this too much problems I don't want. And then what? Then uh, Shivam. Shivam means that which is auspicious. This is why should we say that it is auspicious? We should say it is auspicious because we are coming off the previous verse where we made fun of looking for auspicious times and auspicious things. Why? Because this is the most auspicious of them all. You can never go wrong in knowing this. And in order to pursue Atma Jnanam, you can even do that on a Tuesday. You can even do that on a Saturday. You can even do that on all the days which are considered, quote unquote, inauspicious. And then Advaitam, non-dual, Sa Atma. This is still Mandukya. Sa Atma. And what is that? Saha Vijneyah, this is what must be known. This is what is to be known, not anything else. This is what is to be known. And this is very, very beautiful. What is its name? The ensuing Karika also talks about this, talks about this beautifully. विवृत्ते सर्वदुःखानाम् ईशानः प्रभुरव्ययः अद्वैतः सर्वभावानां देवस्तुर्यो विभुस्मृतः. He clinches it. He just does this. He takes a few things from what we have studied up till now in the Mandukya, what we just talked about. And then he just puts it in a very beautiful way. Nivrittaha means nivritte sarva dukkhanam, being free from all afflictions, all miseries. Ishanaha prabhuravyayah. This, this Lord, who is Prabhu. Prabhu means prakarshena bhunkte. Prakarshena bhavati iti Prabhu. So prakarshena bhavati iti Prabhu, the one that is oneself without the help of anything else. And then avyayah, immutable. Who is this Lord? Turyaha smritaha. It is that you that populates the waking state, that is present as the dreamer, that is present as the sleeper, but in essence is neither the dreamer nor the sleeper nor the waker, but something completely different from all three, even though it is sustaining all three. And all these three states of being, waker, sleeper, dreamer, do not have any validity, do not have a leg to stand on without I, this Atma which is experienced as Turiya. And then this is what it is. This is Prabhu. This is the Lord. Advaitaha. Sarva Bhavanam. Sarva Bhavanam is of all beings. It's that non-dual one. Devaha, the self-shining one. Vibhuhu, the all-pervading one. Prabhuhu, the one without an origin. And what is that Deva? What is that Prabhu? What is that Ishana, the Lord? All these are names of the Lord. Turyaha, Vibhuhu, Smritaha. It is nothing other than you alone. That is why it is said, Mumukshunam Vimuktaye Mandukyamevalam. In order to free oneself from samsara, Mandukya alone is enough. If you just study Mandukya, you don't need to study anything else. Oh, then why are we studying this? Because if you're not ready, then there is no use of studying the Mandukya. All these other things are to prepare. Mandukya Upanishad is taught at the very, very end in a concerted, what should I say, program of study. It is taught the last, because otherwise it will make no sense at all. It will seem just like just a bunch of words, sometimes contradicting one another. But really, there is no contradiction whatsoever. And so this is, so this is what is Bhagavan. So if you really want Bhagavan, this is really what Bhagavan is. It is not other than you. It's not the you that you know in the everyday as having problems, and the ahankara and the body and the mind and the senses and notions and all these things. No. Na drashtuhu anyaha. Here too the Maharshi says the same thing. It is not separate from the seer. Tasya viksha, seeing again is all within quotes. Seeing the seer is, and being one with oneself is Atma Darshanam, Saddarshanam, Ishvara Darshanam. This is what is talked about. There is no other Ishvara than I, the Atma. That is what it is. Otherwise, if you look at Bhagavan as he in the Upanishads, in any other scripture, then that is just more bondage. Moksha comes only when you look at Bhagavan not as he or she, but as I. Aham Brahmasmi. That is what is described in this verse as Tasya Viksha Swamule Praviliya Nishtha. Resolving the observed division and abiding in the divisionless I with the knowledge that I am Atma is called Ishvara Darshanam. That is what it is. That is what is called Ishvara Darshan. Next one. Atmanamiksheta param prapashyet Ityagamo. Oh, I'm still in the other tune. Hold on. आत्मानमीक्षेत परं प्रपश्येत् इत्यागमुक्ते सुलभो न भावः नात्मैव दृश्यो यदि का कथेशे स्वयं तदन्नीभवनं तदीक्षा आत्मानमीक्षेत परं प्रपश्येत् इत्यागमुक्ते सुलभो न भावः नात्मैव दृश्यो यदि का कथेशे स्वयं तदन्नीभवनं तदीक्षा. So there is a these are all oft quoted sentences in the Upanishad. What are those sentences in the Upanishad? Atmanam ikshet. Look at yourself. Atmanam ikshet. If you want to know God, look at yourself. Understand yourself. And then param prapashyet. So if you understand yourself, your own real nature by inquiry, then you have understood God. Param prapashyet. Param means Bhagavan. You have understood Bhagavan. You have, as it were, seen Bhagavan. Iti agama ukte. Agamena or agamaihi ukte. Uktihi. Iti agamaihi uktihi. And then, so iti agamoktehe. So these kinds of expressions in the agama means Vedas. In the Vedas, sulabhona bhavaha are not easy to understand, much less live. Maharshi is telling us as it is. So, atmanam ikshet. Like, there are sentences like this in the Upanishad. What is that? Atma va are drashtavyah, shrotavyah, mantavyah, nitidhyasitavyah. All these things are there. Atma must be seen clearly, must be known as clearly as though you're seeing it. And for that, you have to listen to it. All these things are not easy to follow. Not easy to follow at all. They look nice in the Upanishads where they belong, such sentences. But then they're very difficult to follow. And then, you're wondering where he's going with this verse. But it's a nice little spoof. He's trolling us. And very nice spoof. He says, Na atma eva drishyah. Even though the Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Atma va are drashtavyah, the Atma must be quote unquote seen, but really, na eva Atma drishyah. Atma is not an object of sight. Even though the Upanishad exhorts us to see the Atma, it is not an object of sight. How can it be an object of sight? It is never an object of sight. Yadi Atma na eva drishyah, if the Atma is not an object of sight, ka katha ishe, what to talk of Ishvara? Here is the person dying to see Ishvara and wanting to see Ishvara, has the longing to see Ishvara. Where are you? Why are you not here? Kab darshan doge? When will you give me darshan? Like this, feeling very frustrated and feeling that Ishvara is very elusive. And Maharshi says, first make sure that you can see yourself. Can you see yourself? No. Then how can you see Bhagavan? What to talk of Bhagavan? Ka katha ishe. What about, with reference, Isha means seventh case, Vishaya Saptami, with reference to Bhagavan, what to talk about? What to talk about with reference to Bhagavan? With reference to Bhagavan, you can't see at all. You can't even see yourself, really speaking, and you want to see God? Both are not objects of sight. And then, so how to see? Okay, at least one you make me see. No, today, please. No, at least you make me see either God or you make me see myself. Something, because I have hung in here for what? Half the text, 21 verses. I have hung in here. I have attended every single class from the beginning. Show me God. Show me God now. Okay, if you say God is me, then show me the me that I need to see. This is okay, no problem. Let me help you do that. Just like in your puja, what do you do? In the puja, generally, some dry fruits, nuts, and on special occasions, when you want special favors, you make laddus and all kinds of things. And some modak. Modak means that which makes you happy, not the Lord, okay? Yeah. So, that is which is the agent of happiness for oneself. So, all this you offer from a distance because you don't want to go too close because for the fear that, if you offer 108, Ganesha may polish off 54. And there'll only be 54 left for you and your friends. And so from far you go, Pranaya Swaha, Apanaya Swaha, Dhyanaya Swaha. You do mudras also with it. Very nice. Then, so you go 5 times like that and offer it to all these 5 vital airs. And then say, looks like Ganesha is very satisfied. I see him smiling. Rest is all for me. And you quickly take it back as what? Prasada. Prasada, I'm sorry, doesn't have a translation. At the most, you can say prasada. That's all. You don't really have a translation for prasada. Prasada means some kind of a, what should I say, a glad acceptance of what comes because the feeling is that it is coming from Bhagavan, it is coming from God. So you accept it with that sense of glad acceptance. This is called prasada. So now he says, so na atma eva drishyah yadi ka katheshe. So what to talk of Ishvara? So then how do I get one darshan? At least let me have a little bit of darshan right now. Okay. So you offer similarly, you offer. And then you make sure Bhagavan has eaten, and then you offer, and then usually after the Naivedya, it is called. After this offering, we offer also some water because we don't want the food to get stuck in Bhagavan's throat. Please have some water, relax. And you also give after dinner mint. We have pan, we have betel leaves, which is our after dinner digestive mint. So that also, you offer. So all this you offer. And so in the same vein, here you offer your ahankara. Put the ahankara, dress it up nicely with some seasoning, the garam masala of anger, and and some other things you put, nicely, and then offer it on a platter. This is what it is, in the Dasha Mahavidya, there is this, 10 kinds of goddesses are there. And one of them, very difficult to look at. She's called Chinnamasta. And what she has done is she has basically got hold of her locks and decapitated herself. And she's standing there, you know. It requires a lot of courage to look at this image. And it requires also a lot of spiritual maturity, emotional maturity to understand what's going on. This is what is going on. The head is ego. That's why Ravana had 10 of them. That's why. Head is ego, which leads to pride, indecision, anger, fear, sorrow. All these things are because of the ego. Ravana had a terrible ego. That's why he is depicted in the Ramayana as a 10-headed beast, monster, demon. 10 heads. Ego. So here, the ego is put on the platter, symbolically, of course. So here, you offer as Naivedya, Swayam Tadanni Bhavanam. This is a very nice, Sanskrit expression. Anni Bhavanam. It is not Annam, but it is made to be Annam. That is why we use this Chvi Pratyaya, a suffix called Chvi. Anni Bhavanam. Bhasmi Bhutam. Like this, there are expressions. So, Anni Tad Anni Bhavanam Tasya Iksha. So when you offer the ego on the platter and then you don't take it back like you did with the modaks, leave it there. Let Bhagavan chew it and swallow the ego, the ahankara. Then what is left is Bhagavan. And you can see that, you can be that. This is what is darshan. This is what is saddarshanam. This is what is that called? This is what is Bhagavad Darshan. Very beautifully put. Tad anni bhavanam tad iksha. Iksha, sight. So the sight of Bhagavan is you without this complicated ahankara that you keep dragging around. Lose that. And what is that? That is Bhagavan. That is what it is. You are that Bhagavan. Bhagavan plus ego. Let go of the ego. The E has to go. And then when the E goes, then what is left is Bhagavan, is you as Bhagavan. Very nice. So, and then very, very, very beautiful. And this is something which is very, very well put here. So nice. And that self-evident I, that existence which is the nature of I, that existence which is conscious, is, which expresses itself as I am. But with the help of the ego, I am an idiot, I am as good as the body. The ego tacks on many, many things to this. I am this, I am that, everything. And there is in respect to this, there is one ancient story that is told before cell phones, before SMS, before all these kinds of new ways of email communications. So there was going to be some kind of a marriage an engagement that was going to be solemnized between two families, and of course the prospective bride and groom. And then what happened? So this groom, the groom came, and then they had never met before. They belonged to other villages, and then they had been introduced somehow in a letter, and then said, "Okay, we are sending." It's an arranged marriage, so it was as good as done. We are sending the family along with the groom to exchange some niceties and a few gifts to show that the engagement is done. So the bride's family and the bride to be were waiting anxiously. Okay, they'll come, they'll come. And then somebody did come. Very nice person, fellow came and everything. And then what happened? Along with his parents, he came and they all sat. They polished off all the nice snacks that were made for the occasion. And then they also took all the gifts. And they said, our gifts are somewhere, we'll get them tomorrow. I hope you don't mind. We had given it to the jewelry shop and we'll get it tomorrow. Sure. So they took all the gifts, all expensive, costly, nice gifts. And then they took their leave. Half an hour later, the real party showed up. And they said, what? We already have finished the engagement ceremony. What? We are the thing. And then they could prove it because they had the letter. They had the letter of introduction. They brought the letter. And then the bride's family knew they had been had. So the ahankara is like the first uninvited groom. The uninvited groom who takes away everything, especially your sanity. Takes away everything that is precious, your own presence, your own sanity, your very being actually. It takes it away under the rubric of, oh, I'm meant for you. I'm going to take very good care of you. Yes, we are soulmates. We are supposed to be together. And you will never find another like me. So all this kind of talk with this sweet talk. What is that? Prasabham harati manaha. So the sanity is gone along with the valuable here is viveka and vairagya. So the bride's family in the story were just so enamored by the imposter. That is why this story is told. The ahankara is like the imposter. So the bride's family was so, what's the word for it, enamored by this imposter that they gave away everything, and they gave away a few extra things which they didn't mean to give away. And when the real party showed up, they had nothing to even say, nothing to give. And they could, and they were really doubting. They were wishing wistfully, I wish that was the person I was going to marry, not this ordinary looking fellow like this. So the ahankara, like the imposter groom, and the family is extremely sly, is extremely sneaky, and will make off with everything that is that is valuable to you, starting with your own peace of mind, starting with your sanity, your value systems, your ethics, and your discrimination, your dispassion. Do not give it away. And ask for an ID card. That which is ahankara does not have an ID card. So then that's how you call it spoof. And then you go back to aham iti sakshat sakshi rupena bhami. I am that which shines only as I am, not anything added on, tacked on, as an addendum to the I am. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.
Hari Om, Amma. Thank you.
Om
Thank you,
Om.
Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.